Hi, I'm doing this short video because I had the problem which you probably have if you're watching this, which is that you want to open the bonnet of your Focus and although the key goes in, it turns but doesn't do anything. I've solved the problem now, which is why everything's very loose, but I basically had the key feeling like it was turning but just not activating the lock. I had had the car for a few months and the lock was getting a little bit more dodgy to use every time, and I got to the stage that it just wouldn't work at all. So I tried getting a new key, got a brand new key, cut to the correct code, and that made absolutely no difference at all. So I looked online on YouTube and found that the vast majority of the help videos like this we're talking about the Mk2 Focus, and a lot of the advice given in them wasn't any use for this earlier Mk1. So I'll go through what the main differences are, and hopefully if you're stuck with a bonnet that you can't open, this will see you right to get through it. First of all, to get to the access to the lock, basically you have to remove the grille, and unfortunately on the Mk1 the grille is held on by a couple of bolts. You've got a 10mm bolt there on the left hand side, a 10mm bolt there on the right hand side. You might have various lugs along the top. I think I've got a few bits missing here. This car's extremely old, I got it very cheaply and it's very high mileage, so I didn't mind making a little bit of destruction to solve the problem. And basically by exerting some force on the grille, I was able to basically get it off, and it caused less damage than I thought. It snapped the two lugs which project backwards from the grille and hold it in place, and thankfully once I'd solved my main problem of getting the bonnet open, I was able to then just super glue those lugs back on, and as you can see the grille looks all okay. Once you've removed the grille, you'll see the lock. Now the difference between the lock on the Mk1 and later models is that it's a lot closer to the actual bonnet release, and it's solid. It doesn't have the flexible link that some people talk about for the later models. The lock actually, when it does come out, looks rather like this, and the key thing is the fact that you've got effectively a crosshead screwdriver type end which fits into the main bit of the lock. So the idea is basically just to be able to get rid of this and use a basic screwdriver in there to open your bonnet. There's no point on a car of this age and mileage worrying about replacing the lock. Let's face it, you just need to get the bonnet open every now and then to check the oil and stuff. So with the grille off, you basically see the lock, and it's really it's shrouded with metal, which as you can see I basically had to take a hammer and chisel to get it off, and inside this sort of metal shroud, which is about an inch across and projects about an inch forward, it's basically solid black plastic like this, which is basically moulded to hold the lock using these lugs so that the outside of the lock can't turn. And again, it's basically hammer and chisel time until you get to the stage where you can start to get mole grips or something on this to actually turn it enough to activate the lock. I did try what I'd seen another guy do. There's a bloke with an Irish Mk1 who succeeded in drilling through this, but after drilling I found that I couldn't do anything that was actually going to make the thing turn, so really that was a bit of a waste of time, and it was more a case of just removing the whole thing. And yeah, once you've drilled and smashed and chiseled and everything, you can get the lock here just to simply pull out, and it's got various things. You can see where there's a little sort of retaining ring on the end there, and so it is fairly time consuming. It took me about an hour to smash everything out enough to get the thing out, but once it was out, because I've put the grille back in place, you can't really see, but it just leaves a bit of a scar behind it. And the important thing really was that now with the grille back in place, you wouldn't know that anything was out of position. And with a screwdriver, it doesn't have to be a Phillips or crosshead screwdriver, just a flat screwdriver, but it will go straight through, fit into the lock, and you can see there it's activating the thing, turning to the right, just to make sure I'm pointing the right way, turning to the right to release it for the second bit, and it will turn to the left if there's a an activated thing. Let's see if I can actually activate it as if there's something down. Now I'd need to use an Allen key or something like that to shut the bonnet effectively, but it all works exactly as it should. You've just got the key being replaced by the tip of a screwdriver, and to be honest, when everything is put back together like that and the bonnet's closed, no one would ever know that you'd smashed it up. Okay, I hope that's useful. It's a bit of a budget job, but as far as I was concerned, it was the only way to do it, and it solved the problem. Hope that's useful. Cheers.